Welcome to another episode on Dopamine Dialogues, my She Builds Mnandi series. You're my second guest on She Builds Mnandi. Joining us today is Lungile Maile, a South African entrepreneur, a creative powerhouse in African education or EdTech, and the visionary founder of Nubian Smarts, which you are going to tell us about. With over 15 years in manufacturing, I didn't realize you were in manufacturing for that long. Manufacturing and operations. Lungile brings that real world grit and insight to her mission of democratizing STEAM education. We'll get to the STEAM and what the A is in STEAM. I love that. Across the continent. Her initiatives from STEAM Kids Fest to AI-powered WhatsApp tools are transforming how young Africans engage with technology, with creativity, and infinite possibility.
Thank you.
You're not just building programs, you're building futures for African kids. And I've got goosebumps as I'm saying that.
Thank you.
So, your journey has inspired me. I remember the first time we met. I'll never forget it. Do you remember?
I'm going to say it was in 2020, right?
19, actually.
Sure. It's been a while, eh? It's been a while.
And I was doing my short stint in Midrand, and then I moved. And for the listeners, briefly, I was trying to launch this innovation scheme across the company, at shop floor level, at frontline level, and nobody was getting it right, and we couldn't even get suggestion boxes up. And your role, what were you, management trainee at that stage?
I was a management trainee.
Yes, this management trainee from Midrand, the MM at the time, the manufacturing manager calls me, he's like, look what my trainee did. And we had a call, and you showed me the digital way you had brought suggestions to the shop floor through QR codes, the whole database that you built. And then I invited you onto the talks we used to have for the whole company. You were actually the first one to come up and talk about the scheme, and so many clients adopted that system.
Thank you.
And then you left. I was like, oh no, how can she leave? I was so excited for the potential of what you were going to bring to the company. And then, so let's start there. Is that when you founded Nubian Smarts?
No, actually, I came on to Coca-Cola and I'd already founded the company. So the company was founded in 2016. The dream started in 2016. But back then I was working for Valpre Springwater just before the merger of it being part of CCBSA. So I left just before the merger. I left Valpre to start my own company. So essentially, that's when the company started. But when we started off, we were solving the issue of poor mathematic results in South Africa. That's all I was really fixing. I was like, no, there's no way we can continue be saying that South African students are ranking so low with mathematics and nobody's doing anything about it. And in order for us to do something about it, for me back then, the best idea would be if we had a game that kids could play, and while they're playing, they're essentially practicing without knowing that they're practicing. So we then, I say that we, but when I started off, and God. You and my God. I then decided to, I went on through YouTube, going through tutorials around what made games such as Candy Crush really work. What is the science behind editing mobile gaming? What do they put in there? And then we decided to create a game that really reflected what Candy Crush was doing, but to teach kids mathematics. And literally the first thing that we then created was the New Maths Kids app, which was launched in 2017 in the Google Play Store. I was excited. I was like,
Google Play Store.
We were there. We were getting generic downloads. People we didn't know were downloading the game. It was being downloaded all over the world. But but I didn't know how to make money out of it.
This is what they don't teach. I'm so rude, Lungile. I didn't even say, before I just jumped into the first question. But welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
We had the welcomes before. Sorry. What is your background and where does this passion for education come about, and what spurred you on to start with mathematics?
Yeah, so my background, I feel like I've been alive forever. So after I finished matric, so I was born in South Africa, then went to Swaziland. So the first 10 years of my life, I spent them in Swaziland because of the things that were happening in the country, obviously. This is me revealing my age. This is pre-democracy. So I then stayed in Swaziland. And then when I was in grade 3, I finally got back to move to South Africa. And I finally stayed with my mom. I was staying with my grandmother in Swaziland. So she's a very close inspiration in everything that I do. Really, my grandmother is the driving force. So I was here in South Africa. I've got my 2 younger sisters. We are here in South Africa. 2002 happens, my mom finds a job in the UK and she leaves. And essentially then I became the oldest female in the house, and I sort of felt like I needed to protect my sisters. On the other hand, I was very good at school. Academically, I was very smart. It just came naturally. Things like maths came naturally to me. I wasn't able to share it with my friends. I wasn't able to share it with my sisters. I didn't know how to explain mathematics to other people, but it didn't matter.
Got it. I just
when they explained, it just made sense. It's like when they say this, it just makes sense. I don't even know how else to explain. It just made sense. Fast forward, I finished matric. I'm one of the top students in Lenasia, so I was studying in Lenasia. Yes, I was going to MHJ.
I was there too. Oh. And my mom taught at MHJ.
Serious? Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. So
okay,
I was so I was an MHJ top student in Lenasia. Everything is going well. I've applied for varsity. I wanted to go study in Wits University, Vaal University of Technology, because my friend studied there. My father said no. Then I wanted Wits. My father said no. And then the only one that he wanted Wits. I didn't want it because he said if I studied Wits, I'm going to have to travel from home to the school every day. And I was like, no, I want to move out and be on my own. Teenage me. Then I went on and I found a space in TUT and I did IT at Tshwane University of Technology.
Yes.
So I was in the Mountain View campus, the one there by the Pretoria Central, just outside of Pretoria by Marabastad, very close to that side. I studied there. First year went well. Second year, I digressed very badly, so badly that my mom decided to take me out of school. Because
did you start partying like I did when I
I think the partying it would have been fine. I fell in love with the wrong person.
Oh.
And it was literally my first love. I fell in love with the wrong person and I went on what then transformed my entire life, because he got into trouble, he got arrested, and I went into depression and got sick. So my mom was like, listen, this is not working. Come back home, find yourself, and we'll see again. So then I came back home and never found myself back into IT. Literally dropped out like that. Second year, done. I was like, it's over. I came back and I sort of really felt bad about what I had done for my mom. You know, she's out there working in England, working very hard to make sure that we have a future. And here I am messing it about. So I decided I'm going to find a job. But with your highest qualification being matric, what else can you find? I did waitressing. And then I went into call center, and then I got into healthcare administration. And I did clinical risk, and I found my love around numbers and data analysis, and I got excited again. And I was in there for up until 2010. And then when the new factory, the Valpro factory was being built, they wanted people with maths and science over 80% at matric level. And I got a call and said, fortunately enough, the friend of mine that was in Val, when I wanted to go study, she was now an HR intern at Coca-Cola. So she's like, apply. And I'm like, no, I have a job. She's like, no, apply. I applied. Fast forward, I got into Valpro and I got into manufacturing, and it became my life. And I found my purpose, and I found really what made me happy, and I was so excited. I got into manufacturing. I didn't even know what was a plant. When they said they're building a plant, I'm like, what exactly is a plant? Are we like, is it a farm? Is that what they say?
I was like, literally plants.
Yeah, but when I was there, what had happened with Valpro is that they had moved from the Paul Petersburg plant, which was really more human-intensive operations with less automated machinery, to the one in Heidelberg, where it was a very high-speed plant, really state-of-the-art stuff at that time. And most of the people that were working at Paul Petersburg, they actually went to a strike, I think you might remember. And we were insisting that the company takes them on to this side. So when we after the first year of starting the plant and it's now running, they decided they're going to allow people to apply. And they were given an opportunity, but most of them couldn't apply because they didn't do maths and science at grade 10 level. It's not even matric. Let's not go the 80s and 90s at matric. We said grade 10 level, do you have? And they didn't have. And for me, it just started ringing to me. But I couldn't pass it on to my sisters. So my sisters are not good with maths and science. My friends are not good with maths and science. What if my son gets the same thing? How do I make sure that he falls in life with this? Because as it seems, maths was then being put as a way for you to learn problem-solving skills. It's your way of showing that you know how to problem solve, you know how to follow instructions, you know how to follow troubleshooting tips, which is then essential for you to run this high-speed machinery. So if the world is moving like that, how then do I ensure that my child doesn't suffer the same way? In the birth of Nubian Smarts.
So that inspiration came from being a mom.
Thinking
about the future.
And thinking about the future.
His future.
His future. It's like, yo. He was 3 years old then. I was like, yo. And I think it was also a whole lot of other things. I started being unhappy because I think somehow God reveals when you're no longer in the right space where He needs you to be. Suddenly I was essentially extremely unhappy and I couldn't point what exactly. I remember this one time before I even put in my resignation, I was driving. I had to leave work because I had a migraine. You know that one that where you half your face is like, my eye was closed. I was driving with one eye closed. I went straight to the doctor and the doctor said, how did you get here? And I said, I drove myself from Heidelberg. That was an unsafe thing to do because literally you were like they couldn't do anything except the injection. That's how bad it is. So my doctor said, whatever it is you're struggling with, you need to let it go. And I couldn't figure out except that I was just unhappy. It's been my doctor forever. And it's like, whatever it is, please just sort it out. You have stress. You're too young to be having this stress. Figure out what it is that you're trying to fight against. And then even when I was putting my, what do they call those things for the blinkers? And I was like, no, I'm happy here. I'll be happy. It's just probably ups and downs. I was getting in trouble at work as well, even for things that had nothing to do with me. But it just seemed like I couldn't do anything right at work. And then I decided that, no, for my peace, I'm going to leave. And when I resigned, I remember my then manager saying, but what are you going to do? You have a child? I said, I don't know. But that's God's problem. It's not mine.
Wow.
And then I resigned. And the day I signed my resignation letter, I kid you not, is the day when the idea came. Literally, as I was driving back from work, is when the interview was playing for the mathematics thing. And I'm like, no, man, this is easy to solve. Why are they making it so hard? This is an easy problem. I was wrong.
But now sorry, listeners, it's my fault. But you said you started this kids' mathematics game. Is that the first thing? Is that
Yes.
when you...
Yes, that was
Oh,
the first idea we had.
And that
yeah.
was the whole Candy Crush.
That was the whole Candy Crush thing. So we then created this game. It had a couple of things that were very important to us. Number one, it needed to be able to play without an internet connection because, like I said, I was creating it for me. So I knew that when I go to work, there's internet connection, there's Wi-Fi at work. So I needed to be able to download via Wi-Fi, but when I'm at home, my child needs to still be able to play. It needed to be small enough to fit on your phone so that you don't pick between your pictures and it when you're trying to figure out space constraints on your device. This is 2016. So it needed to be small enough. It needed to be aligned to the CAPS curriculum because it didn't make sense for my child to learn how to count in inches and feet while we are in centimeters and kilometers and meters here in South Africa, learning how to do numbers in pounds and currencies in pounds and dollars, and not rands. So I wanted that. And it needed to have a progress report so that the parent might be able to see how the child is playing and then be able to provide support. So essentially the idea was that you would get home, give your child the phone with the game, allow them to play for 10 to 15 minutes. When you get to work tomorrow, it collects all the data. It sends you a report to say, okay, when you look, this is how they're doing with counting. And then when you get back home, maybe you can assist on counting or on patterns or on shapes, whatever it is that the child is really doing. So at least as a parent, even if you don't have a lot of time, at least on the weekend, I can probably spare an hour just to be able to support my child and be proactive instead of reactive around this thing, not wait for the report that comes after 3 months that tells you that your child is failing. So that was the idea around it. And in 2017, it was that. But
you said you didn't know how to make money from it.
I didn't know how to make money from it. So when I started the thing, I thought that the Department of Education would take on the thing. Back then, the Gauteng Department of Education was introducing tablets into schools, and I figured it made sense. You're going to give schools tablets, give them with this preloaded game that is aligned to the South African curriculum. At least then we know. So for me, it wasn't even a matter of I'm starting a business. It was I need to solve this problem, and then once I'm done, once the app got launched, I'd gone back to manufacturing. I'd now gone into Pioneer Foods, which is now PepsiCo. I'd gone into Pioneer Foods and I was working there. So for me, I wasn't starting a business. I came up with a solution and I thought the Department of Education will continue with it. It's fine. It didn't happen like that. I did contact them before creating the game through social media and those kind of things because our then MEC was very vocal approachable with regards to on his social media, and it was very helpful. He did tell me who I needed to speak to within the Department of Education, but once we sent the game through to them, it took them 9 months to get back to us, and they came back.
Man.
Yeah, they came back and they said, yes, it's aligned. Yes, we are happy with it, but there's really nothing we can do for you. We can allow you to put it. So the Department of Education has a site called Extracurricular Support. I'd never heard of this site in all my years.
Me neither.
So I figured
Only
if
now.
they're saying I put it there, who's going to find it there? Because the idea is I'm trying to reach people who, essentially for me, I was trying to reach kids in townships and rural areas who don't have access to the. So when will they know that there's this site? And this site, in order for them to, they have to go onto the Department of Education. There's a link that takes you there, and then it's like got a list of a whole lot of resources. I don't want to, it's got a lot of resources. But how will they know about it? So I was like, no, I need to see kids doing it. And like I said, because we've put it on Google Play Store, a couple of my friends had started downloading. We'd created a Facebook page, and we were getting just generic downloads. So when you get generic downloads, it's people you don't know, you didn't advertise to, who maybe searched on Google Play Store and said, Matt's app, and then it came through and then they downloaded. So now I was getting downloads from all over, but now I'm like, I want to see if it actually does change kids' lives. So 2017 was really about that. 2018, we then decided, know what, let's go to the schools, primary schools, the ones in townships, the ones in places where I thought they needed this game. Very long red tape process to get into schools. Schools have a lot of gatekeepers. You have the security guard, you have the reception, you have the teacher for that grade, you have the departmental head, you have the principal. And if you are lucky and you get to the principal and they say, oh, I like this, then you have the SGB. And then sometimes when you get to the SGB, they say, no, it's not us, it's the district. So you probably spend almost an 18-month cycle to get to a no.
Sure.
So I was like, this doesn't work. In 2019, I was like, I can't. I created this, and in my heart, it was like, I need to see kids using it. And then I was speaking to friends, and they said, for which age group? And I said, no, from the way we created it is it adapts to the child. So if a child is 4 years, for example, and answers a certain, it adapts and starts picking up questions from the grade R level. But if you are like grade 3, it picks up grade 3 level based on how you first answer. So the most important thing is that a parent does not need to be the one that answers for the child, because then you mess up the algorithm, you mess up the set of instructions. We put that through, and that friend said, you know what, my mom runs a ECD. Do you maybe want to go try it at school? And I said, yes, please. And then we were like, okay, we're going to do a proper pilot study, because now I'm still trying to get the Department of Education, because I'm like, if I can prove to them that we did a study with these kids and this is what happened, maybe they might just, all I was asking is like, put a stamp that says you have approved this, so that when I go to the district, I don't have to start again. Yes, because then they say, but we don't know what the Department of Education says. I'm like, they said, yes, I have an email, I can show you. They said it's aligned. Yeah, but we don't know if we can purchase. So I was like, okay, I wanted that stamp of approval to say, this, the Department of Education has said schools can use this. Sorry.
No worries.
Yeah, so for me, I wanted to make sure that we get that pilot study, and then once we have the pilot study, we can send those results through to the Department of Education. So we went to the school and we said, you know what, we are looking for, if you can give us for 6 weeks a group of kids, we're going to do 20 who are going to get access to our game, and we're going to support them. The other 20 in the class, we will not touch them. When we come here, we won't even say hello to them. We are not involved in them.
So you had a control group.
We have had a control group. The teacher can continue doing what they do with this group. These ones, every week for 2 hours, we want to be there, and we came through with our devices that were preloaded with the game, and we would let the kids play, and then once we are done, we'd get a report, and then we'd share the report with the teacher. This is what we are seeing, and then the teacher was encouraged to assist where they can, like provide support. But we also provided support. So how the report came out was like, it was able to say, Lungile is struggling with this, Sarika is doing well on this, the class overall is doing well on this. So the teacher can then provide that personalized attention. We did it for 6 weeks. Once we were done, we said, thank you very much, we've got the results. We shared the results with the school, and we said, thank you very much, now we will be gone. And the owner of this place said, wait, what do you mean you are going? But no, we are done, this was a study. And then she was like, but what if we pay? And I was like, I never thought of early childhood centers as a business possible. Yeah, if you guys are willing to pay, we'll come back.
And what is an early childhood center?
So an early childhood center is what you would call a preschool or a creche.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, so early childhood centers deal, especially in townships, it's 0 to 6 years old. But how they are formed, essentially most of the time, is it's usually a teacher that has resigned and now starts their own. Yes. And some of the teachers, some of them might have some sort of qualification. So I think you might have, maybe not, the Department of Education has been enforcing that early childhood center practitioners go through some sort of training, because now that the early childhood centers are now part of the Department of Education, which wasn't a thing up until last year. They were part of the social department. So they were mini schools, but they were under social department. So all you had to do is you had to have an NPO registered, and then you'd be able to start a preschool.
That's scary.
I learned this in the way.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So now that they've finally put them there, now there's the regulation, the alignment to the curriculum, making sure that those kids that come out of are actually ready for grade 1. Because if you think about it, the first 2,000 days of a child's life is when everything is being developed.
Formulated,
yes,
yeah.
Whether it's your numeracy skills, your reading skills, everything, how you touch, move, how you perceive the world, per first 2,000 days. But yet we were not providing much support to that. And then we come in on literally day 6. Maybe we can say grade 1, but if you think of the issues around foundation phase as well, it's really a mess. So we started that, and we fell in love with ECD centers. We essentially fell in love with that market, and we then got so involved that we then decided to build out and not just look at mathematics. How then do we encompass everything else? Because for me, it was always important that these young people at that point, at that first 2,000 days, where life skills are being taught, that they fall in love with the idea of STEM education, because then it becomes the foundation for everything else. And as you go on through the grades, everything else is building on from what you learned at grade R. Yet we take it for granted.
So you started at the source. You started at the root cause. You mentioned STEAM now, and I love that you brought in play and creativity to encourage interest in subjects that are, from afar can look very intimidating. Yeah. Now, we normally talk about STEM,
yes.
Science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. You call it STEAM. Can you please tell us what the A stands for and why you brought it in?
Yeah, so the A stands for arts.
Yes, my favorite subject.
Okay, so when I started, I was solving problem-solving skills. I was teaching that. And then obviously there's logical thinking, and then there's creative thinking, which is really a layer that somehow we seem to overlook as something that is unnecessary. But if you think about the arts and what they allow you to do, there is nothing that can be done without incorporating the arts. And I didn't like the whole idea of how it was separated. It was either you are an art person or a tech person.
I know, right?
And for me, it just didn't make sense, because as a tech person, you are building things, therefore
with
creativity, which means that in essence, you imagine something that is not there, which is what arts allows you to do. So how then are we then able to say that these two things do not come together? So that was important for us. The other thing is with the younger kids. When the kids are younger, it's important that you introduce play-based learning. It is critical in their development, because it's during play that really kids then tend to find who they are, and they get to experiment, and they get to think outside the box, and they get to imagine a life that is not here. So it was important that we reminded the early childhood centers that the journey that they've taken on is not only about making sure that the kids are learning, but make sure that they're having fun, make sure that they play, because there's learning that happens within that. There's learning that happens within play. So we've got science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. For the science portion, we do it through cooking. So for us, cooking...
Your culinary code.
Yes.
Please tell. I was like, oh, I'm intrigued. Culinary codes. What is that?
Yeah, so for us, we figured, how do we teach a child who is 3 years old what science is? And cooking made sense.
The
Let me tell you,
measurement.
you measure, you follow a set of instructions. When you are coding an application, you are creating set of instructions that tell a computer to do something. So essentially, when you are coding, you are creating a recipe for that you would need for cooking. When you're cooking, you're following a set of instructions. But where everything meets is, if I'm baking muffins, for example, and I'm baking my muffins and I put them in the stove at 180 and they don't come out right, then you come there and you troubleshoot and like, oh, my stuff really doesn't, it probably needs me to put it at 200. That is troubleshooting. In coding, that is when you are solving bugs because you found that something didn't work out exactly the way that you wanted to. So for us, it was one and the same thing. And then the other thing is that with science is about how you experiment. Cooking is about experimentation. It's about how certain temperatures have a certain effect on different things. If I put an ice block into something hot, it melts. But if I take water and I put it in a hot place, it becomes steam. But if I put it in the fridge, it becomes an ice block. It's the same water. Water hasn't changed. But what you put in, the effect that you put into it, changes that when you are coding. As you put in the different sets of instructions, if you're going to say, when I press a button, I want this button to then start the recording process. There's an action that has changed the whole sequence of things in order for you to be able to do something. So essentially, it's the same thing. So that was the science and the technology. So we do introduce the kids to coding through
Cooking. Through cooking.
Yes, we do cooking as an introduction to science. We do introduction into cooking. We've got engineering that comes in different formats based on the kids' ages. If they're younger, we're just teaching them the idea around putting together a fan, connecting it to a battery, seeing that if you put power, there's something that happens. So at least getting them to touch things, building blocks and making things move around. We do arts. With the arts, we do a whole lot of things. We do edible paint because obviously cooking is part of what we do, and we're doing it for the
edible paint. Oh,
yes,
nice.
Yes, we do edible paint. We do Play-Doh that is child friendly, so we create our own with the kids. We do a whole lot of sensory play around rice and different colored rice and pastas and all those things that you find in the kitchen. Just turn them into something fun for the kids. And then obviously mathematics was the maths app.
This is amazing. And this all came from your initial vision of Nubian Smarts.
Nubian Smarts.
So where does the name come from?
The name. So for me, I wanted to remind African kids that greatness resides within them. If you think about our African history, the Nubians from Sudan.
Oh, I just said yes. Okay.
Yes, so the Nubian tribe from Sudan, they had technology, civilization, even before the Egyptians. Sorry about that. Even before the Egyptians, they had wealth. They are sort of forgotten people in terms of how great they are. The most beautiful thing about them is they were very dark tribe. Like even I'm too light for them. They're very dark. And for me, I wanted to remind them that even in our history, don't think that your color, your skin color, makes you less, because we've always had this genius within us, and I wanted the name to just stand for African smartness, African initiatives. Even right now, with everything that we're doing, we want to move young African people from just being consumers of technology, but also creators of technology, because we really do believe that we have everything that we need in order to really regain our position on earth, position within the world, because Africa is a melting point of so much richness, the diversity, the history, our land itself. Exactly.
Land. You know what bothers me about, and that's what I also loved about your vision for Africa, and why I also started the series She Builds Mnandi for African women entrepreneurs, is we are still forced into this consumer mold because of the regulations of the rest of the world, and the rest of mostly the Western world, but Spotify, as an example, does not monetize African podcasts. Like, what is with that? And so we are allowed to consume, but not given the space to create. And this narrative has been going on for way too long.
Way too long.
And it's so powerful that you are shifting that.
Thank you so much. There's a lot. I think essentially we need to change our thinking as well.
True. Because we start believing that narrative.
Exactly. I always say the most beautiful thing is that if you see it, you can be it. So let us get to a point where we are able to see and speak the life into those situations, and see and speak what we want to see happening, instead of just being bystanders. And hoping that somebody will come and save
us. No. So talking about that, you created African Genius. You have award-winning educational games, and you've been on many stages talking about this work. What do you feel are some of the, and you've talked about some of it, but what are some of the myths and limitations that you see in African children specifically when you are introducing this work and this concept?
I'm going to start off speaking about tech in itself, right? A lot of the work that we're doing involves us having to do awareness and really teach. So essentially, if you're starting a business, you would do awareness around your product. But in Africa, you have to do awareness on the problem and the risks of not solving the problem. No, before I say choose Nubian Smarts, I need to make sure that you understand if you do nothing with regards to ensuring that kids have access to quality STEM education in the first 6 years of their lives, this is what's going to happen. Before I say Nubian Smarts is your answer, versus Khan Academy and versus IX, versus Reading X and Mathletics, before I say Nubian Smarts, I have to tell you that this is the problem. Because what we have is, number one, essentially a problem around lack in terms of access to certain things and lack of infrastructure. I had to think about data connectivity as a way to reach my customer, because it shouldn't be my problem that people don't have Wi-Fi. But essentially, if I'm trying to solve for somebody, then I need to be able to put myself into their situation. So within us, there's that. But there's also a whole lot of thinking around we are unable to do things. I'm going to be very honest. I think maybe it's probably a human thing as well. I think it's a human thing because even if you think in the Bible, Jesus was not seen as a Messiah within his village. He had to go out and be seen as a Messiah. Maybe it's the same thing. But in Africa, African solutions are not given that. that same recognition. You sort of have to have some sort of backing from the West for you to then be adopted this side and be like, okay, you are
taken seriously.
You are onto something. You are onto something. So there's probably limitation around us embracing our own solutions.
I love that.
So with our young people, we need to change the mindset that African things are also just as good.
Yes.
If not better, because they understand the circumstances and the socio-economic factors that bother you, that apply for you. When I started the game, we were fortunate enough to be taken into Google Developers Launchpad. And when they were talking about how you monetize an app, they said, well, it's fine. You can just have it for free, like Duolingo is free. You have a freemium version that allows ads to be shown. But if this thing plays offline, which ads are going to play? And
is that the only way you can monetize?
Yeah. But right now how we monetize is directly through to the schools. So the schools pay us for our services, and we are strictly a B2B company. We've only started doing B2C, so straight up parents can invite us through our STEAM Fests, which are 5-hour immersive experiences whereby children get access to the culinary fun things of the world. We bring drones, we bring VR experiences.
I saw your STEAM Fest on your Insta. I'm going to post all of your details in the description of the podcast so people can just see what you have been up to. And I looked at that STEAM Fest and I was like, wow.
Yeah, so initially we used to only do it for the school. So every term we'd come through and we'd have like a party day, like for lack of a better word, a party day with the students and get them to really touch and experience not just the technology that they see on a daily basis, the tablets and the coding and that stuff, but see what it comes out of it. So that's when it started. And then we then decided they needed to see drones. Because, I mean, doesn't make sense. I've been to places where the kids they've seen an airplane only pass on top. So if I come to them and say, this is like a small airplane, even imagining that in itself is something out of this world. So it's like, let's bring it through to the communities and allow parents. And then as we then started doing it on our own way. Parents could buy tickets and bring their kids, and now more recently we've said, if you are throwing a party minimum 10 kids, you can book us, just like you'd book a clown, but book us. We come through for 5 hours and we come through and we bring a whole lot of fun for the kids.
That sounds wonderful. And where have your STEAM Fests been outside of the schools?
So we've hosted them in KwaZulu-Natal. We've done a lot of ones in KwaZulu-Natal. We've done them in Limpopo. We've done in Lesotho with various organizations. We've done them with churches. So churches book us for when they're having kids' days.
Oh.
Yeah, it's super different. We've done them in conjunction with corporates as well. So if they are hosting things that involve kids, and then we then handle the kids side of things with our trained facilitators, because we've been doing these things around kids, so we know how to take care of little ones.
I love your perseverance and how you just don't take no for an answer, and you are doing exactly what you are trying to inspire in our children, is seeing the bigger picture and persevering regardless of whatever limitation is, surrounding us. Entrepreneurship isn't as glamorous as people make it out to be. And I mean, you've just touched the surface. I'm sure there have been many moments, years where you said 18 months to just even wait for a no, and yet you continue to persevere, and now you even have your own trained facilitators. What has this journey revealed to you about your own healing?
I think
it's a big one.
It's a big one. I grew up, like I said, so my mom left when I was 16, right? Became the oldest person in the house, oldest female in the house. My dad was still around, but that's a story for another day. My dad was around, but he was sick. So essentially, I grew up and became dependent on me for a very long time. And I think I held it with a badge that I don't
that
depend.
hyper-independence.
Yes, I don't need anyone else. I've got me, you know.
And then it shows up as a trauma.
It shows up as a trauma because when you run a business, I promise you, you need everybody. Everybody is, you need them. Number one, everyone is your boss. Even your employees are your boss. So everybody is your boss. The clients, the board. If you have a board that you have as an advisory board, your mentors are your bosses. You're reporting, essentially you keep on reporting to everybody. But it also means that you have to rely on everybody else for what they are bringing in. Because if you don't, you're going to find yourself really chasing your head because you're trying to do everybody's job at the same time. And you frustrate everyone around you because, I mean, what's the point of me being here if you're still going to do it yourself? So for me, I had to learn to relinquish that. And because I was a young person who essentially anything I put my mind to, I achieved. There's so many no's with being an entrepreneur. At one point, I got to the point where I was tired of applying. You get tired of applying because you're like,
you can't take another
I can't take another no.
Yeah.
And you are like, and people will say, it's not you. They're not saying no to you, but it feels like they're saying no to me.
It's your
It
brand.
feels personal.
It's not like when you work.
I mean, it's not I cannot say, no, it's not my problem.
It's not my
It's
product.
not my company.
Yeah.
This is me. If you're saying no to Nubian Smarts, you're saying no to Lungile. You know, it feels very personal. And I had to learn that sort of relinquishing control, but also the hyper independence that I had also had to be relinquished in that for me to be able to accept help from other people and allow them to show me and receive and see it as love and see where you are able to give somebody else and they take over. See that as them taking care of you. And by you giving it off, you are also taking care of them. It's not always about you being the shining star that then allows everybody else to shine. No. Sometimes when you just show off yourself that, no, I can't do everything. I'm not that strong. And it allows you to be forgiving of yourself. So that was the one. The other thing is the idea that you can change your mind. I know we say women are allowed to change their minds.
I love this one. I can't wait to hear what you're going to say.
You are allowed to change your mind. Within your business, you are allowed to pivot. You are allowed to take a step differently. So let me tell you, earlier on this year, the biggest heartache I've had ever since starting the business happened this year. And this year is the year where I decided to finally leave corporate and go full-time into my business.
Oh, I thought you were full-time from when you left.
No, I went and I joined Heineken Beverages. I wanted to see the beer side of things, but that's just me with my love for manufacturing. I wanted to see what happens that side. So this year, end of January I left. But as soon as I left, literally the first week of me being finally fully into the business, the New Meds Kids app, our brand, who we stood for, it crashed. It crashed so badly, Sarika, that when I asked people to assist with rebuilding it, so I'm not a technical fan. No, it was old. The last time we had updated it was in 2020. Technologies change. So it was bound to happen. But I thought it would probably not allow us to go on to new devices, but the devices that we had, it would still work on them. It literally stopped. And it stopped at the background where the progress report is being generated.
Oh
So
my
when you are
goodness.
playing, it's fine, but the background is not. So
That's your insight.
this is our whole business model. This is what we say we come through to. We say let the kids play. We're gonna have an insight. Schools are paying us for this insight. The insight is gone. This is the first week of February. I am like, what?
Universe, like
God, you could have just told me, don't resign. You could have just said that. And now I'm
No, continue.
and now I'm sitting there trying to figure myself out. Where do I go next? What do I do? What can we do? And then I reach out to the company that created the app for us, and I say to them, you know what? This is what's happened. Can you guys have a look? And the guy says, the person who was working on your app is no longer part of the company, and we are struggling to find him because we also don't know what is happening. But you know what, Lungi? It's okay. We can rebuild the app. I'm like, okay, what does that mean cost-wise? And he's like, no, it's gonna cost 200,000 rands.
What?
Yes, 200,000 rands. I'm like, okay, it's fine. I search around. This other company in India said 1.2 million rands, and I'm like, who do you think I am?
Oh my goodness.
But
this right here, sorry for interrupting you.
Yeah.
This money is the greatest spiritual teacher I found for me on this entrepreneurship journey. It's when you get that quotation and your whole nervous system wants to collapse, and you're like, well, what else do you do?
What else do you do?
1.2 million.
1.2 million. So I'm like sitting there, I'm like, okay. Then I reach out to group of students. I'm like, students will charge me less. Students will charge me less. Students come back, they say 180,000. I'm like, what is happening? Do I look like I have money? Like
you do. You look like $1 million.
So I'm like, okay. And then my fiance is like, Lungi, I'm pretty certain we can put together this. But I'm like, no. Wait, let's look at it. Let's find out from the schools, what exactly do they love about us? Because now we're doing a lot of things for the schools. We've got the coding, we've got
STEAM Fest.
And then what we then did is we changed the app that the kids were playing with to another generic app that we just found on Google Play Store that could play without internet connection, that had similar things to what we have. And then we started teaching the kids through that. And then we noticed, no man, the schools don't mind which app you are teaching with, just as long as you're still providing the same service. Yeah. And then we started asking our customers, again, guys, if you have a business, learn to speak to your customers all the time. All the time. Yes, it's hard. Some days you might feel like it makes you seem like you are constantly selling, but there's insights there. So the insight that we learned is that the most important thing that the schools really liked us for was our tablets, because they didn't want to buy or couldn't afford to purchase tablets.
Oh my gosh, who would have thought?
Yes, so now we were like, okay, can we leave the tablets and not send somebody, because we used to send somebody on a weekly basis, a facilitator to go with the tablet. And you guys just list the devices with the preloaded games, and then it was like, okay, but how then do we provide that support of the insights to make sure that the teacher, once they've done that, is able to. So we then started creating lesson plans manually upfront. We'd give to the teacher for the next 4 weeks. This is the lesson plans that you have. This is what you need to do. This is the assessments that you need to do. And then I was like, no man, this thing can be done by AI, which then led to where we are right now, where we are now selling customized AI assistants to businesses. Because for me, I couldn't be there at every school every day, but we could have our WhatsApp chatbot there at any time of the day, and the teacher is able to ask, what they're looking for. They're able to ask for advice. No, in my class, they seem to be struggling with counting. How do I support that? And the chatbot provides the answers. Now, it provides answers based on all the information that we've gathered for the past 4 years and the insights that we have. So we've got that proprietary knowledge-based database that then transfers knowledge to our people. So it's sort of as you have a Nubian facilitator on site, but it's through WhatsApp.
A chatbot.
It's a chatbot. And now it's able to do it in any language, and it's able to decipher. So we are able to take a picture and say, how do I make this into a fun exercise, if maybe it's something to do with multiplication for interest sake. So we then created this Nubian Edu Assistant for our centers. And then once we had done that, we then noticed that teachers within rural areas also struggled with regards to making lesson plans, because the annual teaching plans and CAPS curriculum is online. So you have to have www.go.to.dbe in order to find it. But if I'm in a place whereby I only have bought WhatsApp data and Facebook data, because we do WhatsApp data bundles instead of internet data bundles. It means that I can get onto WhatsApp, but I can't go online. So then we then opened it up. So our WhatsApp Edu Assistant is open for all. It's free for all. The only time we charge is if a school says, I want you to create our own specific one based on our lesson plans, based on our curriculum support and our resources. So then we charge the school. But the Edu Assistant right now is completely free, and God willing.
Who developed that?
I did.
Wow.
Yes, by my lonesome self. Because I was struggling, and I was like, there must be a way. There must be a way. How do I fix this? How do I fix this problem? Because genuinely, I'm feeling like I'm not getting anywhere. And then we let go of the NuMets app, and we had to say goodbye, and see how else then do we then integrate other things that are already created, because between 2016 and 2025, there's a lot of good work that's been done. There's a lot of different ed techs that are available, even within South Africa. There's a lot of different people that I know that have done extremely well around creating those types of solutions. So for us now, it becomes, how do we support an ECD center to not just see Nubian Smarts, but see the overall ecosystem. What else then you can do? And then we just become your support. And we stand more on the background, less about our services, but more about how do we support to make sure that this school really is providing that quality STEM education.
You know what I loved about you saying that you said goodbye to the NuMets? And that's exactly the power with entrepreneurship, and why I think, in my opinion, you are so successful. Because if you had been attached to that NuMets thing, all of these other creative solutions would not have had any space. And that's the thing with attachment with a business. You have to be able to let go, pivot, and flow. And that's exactly what you did. You pivoted. Yeah. And it was all about your customer. You weren't saying, oh no, this whole NuMets thing is me. It was my baby, and crying over it and attaching. You just moved.
Well, I did cry.
Of course not. We have that moment, but you didn't stay there.
I didn't stay there. I remembered what somebody had said, that fall in love with the problem you are solving rather than the solution, because we get stuck. There's lots of ways to get from South Africa to Canada, for example. There's lots of ways. But if I'm going to be stuck, that the only way is to take a flight from SAA in order for me to go there. Even when there's other solutions that are being thrown to this, I'll be like, no. And essentially that's what we do with our products, because they are little babies. I mean,
they are. It's us, like you said. It's like saying no to Sariko. The other thing I love about what you're saying is, and this is something, it's not taught, but it's something I learned in 4 months now into being an aunt, is you can't just come in there with your idea of what you think the world needs, You have to show them that you are solving a problem that they have, and that's how your clients come in. It's what is the problem that you are solving?
Yes.
Otherwise, and that's your marketing strategy right there. You don't need these huge billboards, ads, social media. It's just,
what is the problem you are solving?
Yeah, and that's exactly what you did.
It. And just, if you continue and just keep your eye focused on the problem that you are solving and you let it guide you, I promise you, it gets better. Even when you have to let go of other things, other layers. If you think about a tree being pruned in order for it to be fruitful, it's the same with you. There's certain things that are going to be pruned off you, and things that you came in as ideas that you had. I left because for me, I wanted to, essentially I felt like I was failing the business. It became too hard to work full-time and run the business, because fortunately enough, when I was in Heineken, I used to work for a 4-day shift system. So it was 2 days of day shift and 2 days of night shift, and then you're off for 4 days, which essentially means you're only not available on 2 days, because the other 6 days, essentially you are available during the day when business usually happens. And I was working around that, but it became tiring physically on my body. Came hard for my family as well. I have kids, so they need me. They want that attention, and I can't. But it also became about, there's a vision that's been entrusted in me, but for whatever reason, I'm not willing to show that I trust that this vision was really entrusted to the right person. So I've been given a mission and vision, and then I'm saying it's not for me to push. Other people will push, because the ladies were doing very well with going, but they couldn't see beyond what I've instructed them to do. So they couldn't see bigger. What else can we do bigger for this company in order for us to do the work we're doing? So February, spent the whole month preparing for an AI hackathon. We hosted the first one in the University of Venda. We had 24 teenagers physically in the space, and then we had another 6 teenagers that were joining us hybrid from across the country, that then joined and learned about what is the SDG goals, what is artificial intelligence, and then how do you then spot a problem that is SDG goal aligned, and then create a solution and pitch that solution into sort of like a business thing. So we did that. So February was around, I was letting go of the New Meds app, but I was also taking on something that was different from what we used to do. Like I said, we used to do a lot of ECD centers. Now all of a sudden we're like saying teenagers. We're doing teenagers, and then it was like a whole new ball game around that, and also then it then allowed us also, because through that process we then had to find partners and sponsors to do this, that allowed me to once again learn that new thing that I was learning in my life, the idea of letting go and allowing others to be part of your vision, and finding ways to get other people drawn onto your vision. And as business owners, remember that at the end of the day, if you really want to see this business not be just about me as Lungi and it become a company, it means that constantly we are recruiting people onto the vision. Constantly we are recruiting people onto the vision, and we're making sure that we are all walking the same direction, regardless of wherever we come from. Yeah,
it's that giving up of the control, as you said, and it's almost a death of the ego in a way.
Yes.
And it can be painful.
It's painful. Death of the ego.
Oh my word. It's a spiritual journey, actually, entrepreneurship.
It definitely is.
Have you found that you have had to let go of versions of yourself that maybe, said, had imposter syndrome, or that you were not worthy, or that this is... Tell us more about that.
I run a tech company. And I don't have a tech qualification. I actually don't even mind it anymore. It used to bother me a lot. Like I said, I did IT for 2 years, so I didn't finish. So I don't have a tech qualification as such. And then for a long time, when I'm stepped into rooms with other technical people, I felt like I didn't belong. When I step into rooms with, because it's the education sector, and most of the time it's a technical founder or it's somebody who used to teach. None of those things are me. So I didn't fit in with educators and I didn't fit in with tech people. I was not really tech minded and I was not really an educator. All I had was in me, this needs to be solved. This is a problem that we need to solve. So in me was just my North Star and that. So imposter syndrome was a very real thing. Even when you get invited to speak at certain places, like, no, I don't think I'm worthy. I got an opportunity to be selected as part of the Africa Impact Initiative, where we got an opportunity to go to Canada for 10 weeks for a summer in residence program with the University of Toronto. Sarika, as I was walking there, literally the first day I was walking there, and we were talking with the other cohort members, it was almost odd that something that I had thought of as a small vision could bring me to that place, like literally kilometers away.
That's
the whole
amazing.
entire different continent. Even if you look at it in terms of the globe, it's literally the other side of the world. But it was the word, because all businesses start with, you have a vision, then you have a word, and then you tell somebody else about your work. And now the word that you spoke has formed and become life, and life that is changing your own life and putting you there.
It's amazing.
So essentially, that was when I realized that imposter syndrome doesn't exist, because at the end of the day, it was my word. It wasn't someone else's word that brought me wherever. It was my word. And somehow God made it that what I thought I was lacking in was actually the superpower and the real reason why I'm then able to do what I do.
It's amazing. You've been recognized. I mean, you've received powerful recognition, like you mentioned now, this African Impact. What does this visibility mean to you as a Black woman entrepreneur in South Africa?
I think the biggest thing is, as you get recognized, is it provides credibility. It's almost as if it's a stamp of approval. That you're on the right path. My first ever mentor when I started with the business thing was a lecturer at the University of Stellenbosch. I actually, to this day, don't know how I met that man. But anyways, he was my mentor. And and he said to me, I remember saying to him, okay, so how do I know that now I'm not doing right? And he said, if ever you tell somebody in your dream and they look at you and say, oh, that's nonsense, then you know you've gone the wrong way. But if somebody says, you're onto something, then you continue on. So for me, the recognitions are that stamp. It's them saying, you're onto something. You're onto something. But also allow yourself, be open. So a lot of the work that I've done has required, and like I said at one point, I didn't want to apply, but even all these things I've applied. Some of the recognitions I've gotten was not because I applied for those things, it's because I applied at one point to somebody and they saw my application and they're like, no, you don't fall for this one. And then all of a sudden I get called for something. I'm like, how did you know? Somebody told us about you. And I'm like, but I don't even know that person. Because as entrepreneurs, what you must always do not discount yourself. Mark Zuckerberg also says it a lot. Never discount yourself. Keep on applying, keep on putting yourself out there. Be your own biggest fan. You are your own biggest cheerleader every single day. Say, yes, I'm doing the right thing. I'm on the right path here. Put yourself, but the visibility, being able to have interviews on, I've been on SABC News, I've been on various radio stations. It allows that to happen. And the other thing as businesses we need to remember is that people have separate touch points for your brand, right? So essentially, I think the studies say they would need to have 12 different touch points with your business for them to actually start saying they recognize this. So they see your Facebook post, they see you on Instagram, they see you...
12?
Yes, 12 different. Okay. They meet somebody, they hear somebody speaking about you, they see an article about you. So the more they see, they start saying, oh...
Connecting the dots.
And they start feeling familiarity. Yes. To it, familiarity to you, because once we have that, then we have trust, and people make purchasing decisions based on trust. So then you have that trust. So as you walk on and you continue putting your applications out there, you are creating that point whereby people are like, no, but I've seen their work. At one point I remember I did this other pitch competition, and the guy one of the judges says, Lungi, oh my God, you're still doing this? And I'm like, yes. Like, do you remember me? I'm like, no. No, we met in 2017. This is like 2021. I'm like, oh my God, I don't even remember you. And it's like, no, as you said, the problem you are solving, I remembered. No, man, I know this woman. So it's different touch points. But visibility allows that. So open yourself up, be ready, be open. And people fall in love because you are a human being. So be ready to show those sides of you. And I know it's hard because social media wants us to always show the shining side. Then you want to show that everything is going well, but talk about the times that are not so lekker.
I love that. If you could leave our listeners with one question to sit with, or to expect, actually, before I go to the question, what can we expect next?
From Nubian Smarts?
Yeah. Well,
a whole lot. We, for a very long time, like I said, with this imposter syndrome, when people used to say, do you want to train teachers? I'd say no. Train teachers. I was like, no, we don't train teachers. I mean, how do I train people who went... whole degree holders, me. So we've stepped into that. We're actually preparing for our we're training teachers in STEAM and generative AI. We're doing a training next week in George for 25 teachers. Super excited about that. So we now offer teacher training. We also offer training around for businesses as well that are trying to figure out how to incorporate AI and which parts of AI really are for your business, because there's just so much, and there's too much. It's overwhelming. Which ones are perfect for you, and how then do you then utilize this new collaborator that we have all of a sudden gotten in a way that really makes sense? And I'm not talking about from a far away, because I've walked the journey. Us as a business, we found value from introducing AI into our systems, and it has allowed us to really be able to grow. So I'd like to share that with others. So we also do those kind of trainings. That's the one. Next year we are planning. So this year we did AI hackathon for free for the students for free.
What is a hackathon?
So a hackathon is when you bring together a group of people that don't know each other. That's number one. And you come together and you form teams, and you are given challenges and you come up with solutions. So essentially, if we were to come together and in a business, for example, and your main problem was around I'm not talking about manufacturing because we share that. You have issues with high losses with regards to raw materials and those kind of things. And then you have issues around downtime, and then you have issues maybe around improper forecasting. So we come together, the different departments, and we sit together, and we then decide that these are the problems that we have as a company, and then we come together with solutions. Over a 2-day period, literally short period of time, we come together with solutions and we implement those solutions. But for the young people, what we do is we bring together young children, usually from government schools. We teach them what is artificial intelligence, what is machine learning. How does artificial intelligence actually work? Where does this information come from? Can you trust it? How do you overcome things like biases in AI and those kind of things? And then we provide them with different set of challenges. In March, we do around SDG goals around quality healthcare, quality education, and gender equality. So we do those three. And then in June, we do around saving the planet. So in June, we did one in Eswatini where we had 32 young people. Some of them had never touched a computer.
Wow.
By the end of the week, they had put together presentations coming up with solutions on AI detecting wildfires and poaching and preventing poaching and teaching all
That's
people about turning natural medicines into super. Like God, it can only be God. It cannot be me. So this year we only did one in University of Venda and then one in Eswatini. Next year we're doing 3. We're doing one at Medunsa, Sifako, Mahato health campuses. I'm getting used to this name. I'm old, so I know Medunsa. So we're hosting one in Medunsa, doing University of Venda, and then we're doing one in Eswatini. So essentially next year we're going to have 6 different hackathons in different parts of the country.
How do they find you?
How do people find me? University of Venda, we had a footprint. So we have early childhood centers that are in Toyando that are part of our network. So we reached out to people that we know from the area to say we wanted to host this. So that one we essentially went out. For University of Eswatini, they reached out and no, essentially what happened is, like I said, I was born in Swaziland. I was born in South Africa but grew up in Swaziland. I wanted to do something for Swaziland, and then I looked out for people within the ecosystem in Swaziland that could help me put it together. So we then hosted that one.
You are very resourceful, Lungi.
And then Sifako Mahato, I was at an event and I was speaking, and the lady came up to me and she said, "My students need this.
Oh,
how do we get in touch?"
One thought for the listeners, anyone starting their new business or having a vision and a dream, what would be your advice to them?
It sounds generic, but it's absolutely the truth. Start with what you have. Start.
Begin where you are.
Begin where you are. It will never be perfect. I promise you. Even me, years later, I'm like, I don't think I'm ready. I still wake up and feel like I'm not ready. I'm not ready. So you'll never feel ready. Start with what you have. Start with where you are. And I promise you, if you speak life and speak the word, it will happen. Essentially, everything that you see around is because somebody has spoken it. The idea that there's this computer, somebody had to imagine it and think, okay, and then they spoke to others, they put it in writing, and then they started working towards it. If we were all going to sit here and wait to say, I want things to be better, and I want to have enough money, and I want to have enough resources, we're never going to build anything. So start with what you have.
That's beautiful. You just described the principle of manifestation in such a beautiful, demystifying way. It's not waiting for the right conditions. It is the step-by-step vision, action, conversations that you have. And suddenly this baby is materialized in front of you. I am so inspired by you and the work that you are doing and the ultimate vision, why you are doing it for our African children. I think it's beautiful.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for giving me your time today.
Thank you, Sarika. And thank you to everybody who listens. And hopefully we will get this monetization issue sorted. When we started off, when we first launched the app on Google Store, we also couldn't monetize. In South Africa, you couldn't.
In South Africa,
yeah,
only.
in 2017, you couldn't put that this is a 60 rand app and you download it and people. Google wouldn't allow, so then it was sitting on Google for free, and then hence the idea of how do you monetize? If it's free, then you monetize through ads.
So listeners, I'm going to leave Lungi's details in the description of this podcast if you want to reach out to her, if you want to host a STEAM Fest or
please.
a AI hackathon. I want to come to one of your culinary code sessions. Those sound amazing. And so excited about what's coming next.
Thank you so much.
So many blessings for your journey.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Cool. Listeners, please share your comments. And reach out to Lungile.
Thank you.
Until next time.